When my father passed away 7 years ago, he left behind three things: a collection of vintage cars he spent his life restoring, a peaceful lakefront house that had been in our family for generations, and me, his only daughter, who missed him more than words could ever explain. I'm Diana, and this is the story of how my own family tried to steal the very things he left behind for me. My dad was a master mechanic. He could figure out what was wrong with a car just by hearing the way the engine ran. His garage was like a second home, full of tools, parts, grease-stained rags, and beautiful cars from every decade. Every weekend, he was out there working, and I was always right beside him. "Pay attention, princess," he used to say, waving me over. "One day all this will be yours, and you'll need to know how to take care of it." And I did. While other girls were at dance classes or playing with dolls, I was in the garage learning about spark plugs, engine blocks, and how to rebuild carburetors. My tiny hands were perfect for working in tight spots, and Dad loved that. We rebuilt a 1967 Mustang together before I turned 13. It wasn't just about the cars, it was about us. My mom never understood it. She didn't get the bond Dad and I had, and she certainly didn't care about cars. What mattered to her were appearances, social circles, and being seen in the right places with the right people. When Dad died suddenly from a heart attack at just 52, my whole world stopped. 11 months later, my mother remarried. His name was Stephen, her tennis instructor. He was almost 15 years younger than her and came with a daughter of his own, Amber. She was 13 at the time, a shy, quiet girl with big eyes who barely spoke at dinner. Everything changed after that. Our calm home turned loud and expensive. Mom and Stephen started redecorating every room, buying expensive furniture, replacing family photos with new ones, and throwing out anything that reminded them of Dad. The only places they left untouched were the garage, because it's full of junk anyway, according to Mom, and the lake house, which, I believed, was protected by Dad's will. I remember overhearing our family lawyer, Mr. Patterson, saying something just after the funeral. "You can't sell any of it until Diana turns 25. James was very clear about that. I took comfort in that. Dad had planned ahead. He had protected his legacy, making sure that no one could touch the things that meant the most to him, and to me. But I was 16 and heartbroken. I didn't think about paperwork or legal protections. I just kept doing what Dad taught me. I worked on the cars, kept the garage clean and organized, and tried to pretend life was normal. Mom and Stephen, meanwhile, were busy turning Amber into the perfect society daughter. She got brand-name clothes, tennis lessons, hair appointments, etiquette training, and everything else my mom had never given me. "Diana, wouldn't you rather join Amber at her etiquette class?" Mom asked once, looking down at my oil-stained jeans. "It's more ladylike than spending your time elbow-deep in grease." But I didn't care about etiquette. I cared about engines. Every time I got one of Dad's old cars running again, I felt like I could hear his voice. It was like he was still with me. After high school, I studied mechanical engineering. I paid for college by working part-time at an auto shop where the owner, Mike, became something like family. "You've got your dad's hands," he said once. "Smart, steady, you were born for this." I came home whenever I could, mainly to check on Dad's garage and the lake house, but little by little, I noticed things were disappearing. Tools I knew were there before were suddenly gone. Parts I'd carefully labeled and stored were missing. "Mom, did someone take my tools?" I asked once. "Oh, we just had to clear some space," she said. "Don't make a big deal about it. You can't expect everything to stay frozen in time." I let it go. I was tired, overwhelmed with school and work, and honestly, deep down, I still wanted to believe she'd never go against Dad's wishes. Then one day, in my final semester, Mom called. "Diana," she said, practically bursting with joy, "Amber's engaged, to Bradley Worthington too. You know, the Worthington Investments family." I said the right things. "Congratulations, how wonderful," but something felt off. "We're planning the most incredible wedding," she continued. "A 10-piece orchestra, a venue at the country club, custom flowers, ice sculptures, the whole package. It'll be expensive, of course, but Stephen and I figured out how to make it work." That's when my stomach sank. "What do you mean?" I asked. "How are you going to afford all of that?" "Well," she hesitated, "we've had some interest in the lake property. It's been sitting empty for years. It only makes sense to put it to good use." "You can't sell the lake house," I said sharply. It's protected by Dad's will. Oh, that old thing, she said, brushing it off. Stephen had his lawyer review it. Apparently, it wasn't filed properly. Something about the witnesses or the date. Either way, it's invalid. And as James's widow, I have the right to sell the property. Diana, be reasonable. Amber needs this wedding. She's starting a whole new life. Your father would have understood. I felt like the floor disappeared beneath me. No, Mom, I said, my voice shaking. He wouldn't have understood. He made it very clear the lake house and the cars were meant for me. You're being selfish, she snapped. What do you even need a lake house for? You don't throw parties. You don't entertain, honestly. Diana, you spend your time crawling around in a garage like some kind of mechanic. This wedding is important. Amber's future depends on it. I hung up the phone without saying another word. For a long time, I just sat there, frozen. Dad's voice echoed in my mind. Someday all this will be yours. I opened my laptop and searched for emails from Mr. Patterson. I needed to find anything about Dad's will, anything that could stop what was happening. That's when I noticed something else. The list of insured vehicles under Dad's name, many of them were missing. I called Mike. Hey, Mike, quick question. The last time you were in my dad's garage, how many cars were there? There was silence on the other end of the line. Diana, he said gently, I've been wondering when you'd ask. They've been selling the cars, one by one. I tried to stop it, told them those cars were yours, but Stephen said they had legal papers giving them permission. It hit me like a punch to the gut. They had sold the cars, Dad's legacy, my inheritance. All for money, for spa weekends, furniture, and now a wedding that could easily cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. I ended the call and sat quietly for a moment, my heart racing, my body cold. Then I opened a new email. I sent 2 messages. The first went to my academic advisor, asking for a temporary leave of absence from school. The second went to a lawyer I'd met once at Mike's shop, a car collector who also handled estate law. Subject: urgent help needed. Family inheritance being sold without permission. How soon can we meet? He replied in under 10 minutes. Tomorrow, 8 a.m. Bring any documents you have. We'll fight this. The wedding was being planned like a royal affair, luxury vendors, payments for Amber's brand new car, her high-rise apartment downtown, and while all that money was being spent on someone else's dream life, I had just taken a leave of absence from my final semester at college. I promised my professors I'd finish my projects over the summer. But this couldn't wait. This wasn't about grades anymore. This was about justice. I moved back home and watched from the shadows as panic began to set in. Mom and Stephen started to realize something wasn't right. The lawyer they claimed had discovered issues with Dad's will couldn't be reached. Because he didn't exist. The name, the law firm, the official-looking letter, every bit of it was fake. They had made it up. They forged documents and even designed a fake letterhead, all to convince me that they had the legal right to sell off my inheritance. One morning, Mom cornered me in the kitchen. Her smile was tight, forced, like it was glued to her face. Diana, sweetie, she began softly, about the lake house. I know you're upset, but please try to understand, Amber's wedding is very important. This is her big chance, her perfect beginning. I didn't lose my temper. I didn't raise my voice. I just pressed the record button on my phone, tucked inside my pocket, and asked, so my life doesn't matter? Dad's wishes don't matter? Your father would have wanted to help his stepdaughter, she said quickly. You know how generous he was. I pulled out my phone and held it up to her. I had pictures, evidence. Is that why you sold his 1969 Chevelle for your Palm Springs spa weekend? Was that generosity? The color drained from her face. How did you find out? I know everything, I said calmly. Every car you sold, every lie you told, every dollar you took. Her expression changed instantly. She grabbed my arm, her fingers digging into my skin. We didn't steal anything. We're your parents. We had every right. I looked her dead in the eye. You might want to let go of me, and you might want to call a real lawyer, this time, one that actually exists. That evening, I heard them through the walls, the muffled sounds of yelling behind closed doors, then Amber's voice, high and panicked. What do you mean the wedding might be cancelled? Bradley's mother already ordered customized sculptures. The Worthingtons will never forgive us. We'll fix it, Stephen said, trying to calm her. Diana's just being dramatic. She'll give in. but I was already 10 steps ahead of them. The next morning, I went to the garage early. I needed to be close to what was left of Dad's world. In the back corner, under a dusty tarp, sat a car I hadn't seen in years, Dad's favorite, a 1957 Chevy Bel Air. We'd spent months working on it together when I was in high school. It hadn't been sold, not yet, maybe because it didn't run. The engine was half-assembled, parts spread out across the workbench like a puzzle waiting to be solved. I ran my hand over the faded paint and closed my eyes, hearing Dad's voice in my memory. Patience, princess, sometimes you've got to take things apart completely before you can put them back together the right way. He was talking about engines back then. Now, I was taking apart a web of lies, piece by piece, and I was almost done. Just then, my phone buzzed. It was Marcus, my lawyer and friend. Meeting tomorrow, 10 a.m., bringing George Patterson, time to drop the hammer. I sent back a short reply, got it. Then I picked up a wrench and started working on the Bel Air's engine. Tomorrow would be chaos. But today, I could lose myself in the rhythm of metal and memory. It was the only way I knew how to honor my father. From the garage, I heard the front door close. Mom and Stephen were headed out, to meet florists or cake designers. No doubt, they had no idea that while they were off picking flower arrangements, Marcus's team was delivering subpoenas to every auction house, every collector, every shady buyer involved in their little scheme. The truth was coming for them, whether they were ready or not. I showed up early to Marcus's office the next morning. Through the tall windows, I saw Mom, Stephen, and Amber pull up in Stephen's shiny black BMW. They looked confident, like they expected to walk in, smooth things over, and bully me into giving up. Mom wore her go-to problem-solving outfit, a soft blue suit that made her look polished but harmless. Stephen looked smug in his tennis club blazer. Amber, of course, had her massive wedding binder clutched to her chest like a shield. Marcus greeted them at the door, polite but firm. I was already seated inside, next to Mr. George Patterson, the real family lawyer, not retired, not gone, very much alive, and very, very sharp. He shook my hand and looked me in the eye. Your father was a good man. He trusted your mother to honor his wishes, he said gently. I'm sorry she didn't. The door opened. Mom stepped inside first. Her smile froze when she saw George. Stephen looked confused. Amber just blinked. Mr. Patterson? Mom's voice cracked. What are you doing here? Marcus shut the door behind them. Funny you should ask, he said smoothly, especially since you told Diana he was retired in Florida. Stephen opened his mouth to talk, but Marcus raised a hand. Please, take a seat, we have a lot to go over. They sat. I could see Mom's hands trembling slightly as she smoothed her skirt. She knew what was coming. Marcus opened a thick folder and began. Let's start with the trust James Mitchell created for his daughter, the one you said didn't exist. We never, Mom began, but George interrupted her. I have the original documents, signed, witnessed, properly filed, according to your husband's wishes, the entire vintage car collection, the lakefront house, and all related assets were placed in a trust for Diana until her 25th birthday. He slid the papers across the table. I watched as their faces turned pale. Marcus continued, we also have proof of unauthorized sales. He laid down the evidence, photographs, receipts, transaction logs. The 1969 Chevelle, sold to pay for a spa weekend. The 1965 Mustang, sold for Amber's apartment. The 1970 Challenger, sold to pay off country club dues. Amber's face crumpled. Mom, Dad, what is this? And most recently, Marcus said, attempts to sell the lake house to fund a luxury wedding, paid for with stolen money. Stolen? Amber gasped. What do you mean stolen? I said, my voice low but clear, they've been selling my inheritance, one car at a time, one lie at a time, everything Dad worked for, they used it like a credit card, and they had no right. Stephen slammed the table. That's not true, the will was invalid. Is that so? Marcus raised an eyebrow and pulled out more documents. Then perhaps you can explain these forged letters, this fake law firm letterhead, and these fabricated legal findings. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't have to. Forgery, wire fraud, misuse of trust assets, it's a long list. Mom's voice finally broke. We needed the money. Stephen's business was failing, And Amber. Amber deserved a proper wedding. With my inheritance, I said, that's what she deserved. Amber burst into tears. The Worthingtons will never forgive us. Bradley's mom already ordered the ice sculptures. I looked at her. Maybe you should have made sure the money wasn't stolen before buying the ice sculptures. Marcus leaned in. Here's what's going to happen. First, all sales stop. Immediately. The lake house is off the market as of this morning. Second, you'll provide full records, every item, every dollar, every expense. Mr. Patterson and I will be reviewing it all. You can't do this, Mom cried. We're family. We raised you. I stood. Family doesn't lie. Family doesn't forge documents. Family doesn't sell off the things my father left me, without even asking. Diana, please, Mom reached for me. I stepped back. The truth is, if you'd just asked, I might have helped, not by selling Dad's legacy, but maybe I could have supported the wedding some other way. But you didn't ask, you just took. Amber wailed. What about my wedding? It's in 6 weeks. You should start making cancellations, Marcus said flatly, unless you want to face even more charges. Stephen tried to reason with me. You're being too harsh. Think about your mother, your sister. Stepsister, I said, and the time to be reasonable was before you stole from me. Marcus laid the final papers on the table, court orders, injunctions, repayment demands. You have 24 hours to sign these and cooperate, or we go straight to the police. Mom's face went white. You'd send us to jail? I stared at them. You sent yourselves there. Every time you lied. Every time you chose money over integrity. Every time you acted like Dad's promises didn't matter. They left that meeting in complete shambles, Mom crying, Stephen pale and furious, Amber screaming about her ruined wedding. I watched them go with a strange, empty feeling in my chest. This was justice. But it didn't feel like a win.